Buzzing with beauty, Uganda is a nation rich in natural resources and cultural heritage, and survival is guaranteed by citizens and leaders.
In other countries, fools die. But in Uganda, fools can thrive there. They just eat. He stays with his brothers. He eats. He goes from there to the sister. He eats. He's not earning anything, but he's eating.
However, beneath its vibrant surface lies a shadowy reality, the pervasive presence of kleptocracy.
The government of President Museveni is a government of workers. They work for international capital which has taken over our economy.
Talking of value addition, and you wonder, but we had so many people in Masaka who have been growing coffee. Why are they not being brought on the forefront? So they come in as people who are trying to organize those sectors or areas, when actually their interest is also to grab from the people.
Ugandans face a lot of problems on a daily that they have accepted and trying to solve through hard work. And every day, close to 6 million people enter into the Kampala business district to fend for their families. The lucky ones work in the formal sector like banking, telecom, insurance, among others. This, however, unless, as Bank of Uganda says, only 1%, about 458,500 of the population of working earn less than 1 million shillings, approximately $270 a month as gross income. Here in downtown Kampala is where the unlucky ones try to change their fortunes. The sweat and determination on almost every working face tells a story of pain and hope that the next day will be better. But even these are less than 20% of the population. The majority, about 70% of the population, lives in rural areas. Agriculture is the main employer of Ugandans, an economic activity that employs 6 in 10 Ugandans. But farmers are in dire straits. Meet Abdu Chiyinji, a resident of Mirembe village in Chitanda sub-county, Bukomansimbi district. He is among the people who grew moringa trees in 2005 only to lose. Chiyinji is not the only one. Kamali Joseph, a 20-year by then, narrates his ordeal that saw him take a break from farming.
Ngati ensigo tebajagala nnyo wadde nga n'ensigo batukana tugana nti erina omugaso obukoolo obwo ng'entereka yaabwo nzibu nnyo tugenda okutandika obbuka zanga babwagala bwetaaga weevu ate bwina okuwotoka ate balina obbusekula nga kiro naye nno tewezeka ogenda okugira oti nti akatale kaagudde kuba twamulima nga batugamba bagulanga emitwalo 5 oba 15 bw'atyo kiro naye ng'okuweza kiro mwana wa maama.
But what explains government's action of encouraging farmers to grow a certain product and it later on fails?
We have also seen programs where, as I said, boardroom decisions. I think people recall here we had a time when people were being encouraged to grow a lot of tangawuzi. And at the end of the day, the market aspect was not thought about. People produced. Then at the end of the day, where is the market?
Dr. Fred Muhumuza, a senior economist at Makerere University, says unless government re-examines its responsibilities, Ugandans are going to be kept in perpetual poverty.
But you don't expect government to come and begin saying, I've already signed a contract with so and so, he would want to transport coffee. There are other people who had invested in that sector. Why are you disrupting them? Why are you choosing one entity to participate in a space that should be an open, free market? You'll be taking us back to the 1980s.
Government in the early 90s went on a drive popularizing the growing of vanilla that many Ugandans in the areas of Luwero, Kayunga and Masaka and others abandoned other crops to grow vanilla. It emerged that it had no market, causing colossal losses to farmers. As tiers of losses from vanilla were drying up, government shifted to moringa in the early 2000s and the story has not been different. Such stories bear a striking resemblance with the rearing of silkworms.
Corruption. Wonder at times whether really the program is intended to uplift the people in a given area, or there are people in between who feel that yes, we can use this channel to get money or to use the taxpayers' money and enrich ourselves.
Dr. Yusuf Serunkuma, a scholar, says these actions are not coincidental but have been well designed by denying those in lucrative sectors a chance to form cooperatives.
Seemingly small windows of opportunity where average people make money, but it's not too much that there will be an international capitalist interested. Maybe the market is only regional, so local players work so hard to push ordinary people out of these markets. So among other things, they just make sure people don't organize.
We then embarked on a journey to understand how the fishing sector is faring. Like a planned and well-executed mission, Katosi Landing Site remains a shadow of its former self. With changes in management of fishing, the major economic activity here, boats look almost abandoned, with those brave enough to remain at the lake getting less money from fishing. Meet Nabulia Harriet, who has been witness to the changes on the lake since 1995.
Ebyennyanja nga bingi mu nnyanja. Newankubadde envuba embi yalingawo, naye ebyennyanja byalabikanga. Nga kava zikalirira, abasuubula ebisi basuubula, abasala emmondo basala, naye okuva amagye gayingira ku nnyanja. Tetumanyi gajja naki. Ebyennyanja byabula ku nnyanja. Abavubi bagenda ne bavuba ne bajja n'empuuta bbiri, abakalirizi kava twaziggala. Nze kava yange yali wali era n'omenyeka yamenyeka, kati ssaawa zino ndi mu kawooteri akatasobola na kuyimirizaawo baana bange kusoma mu ssomero ly'eyagaza.
She says that with the advent of the Fisheries Protection Unit, life has not been the same as the conditions have changed from good to bad.
Newankubadde envuba embi yalingawo, naye ebyennyanja byalabikanga. Nga kava zikalirira, abasuubula ebisi basuubula, abasala emmondo basala, naye okuva amagye gayingira ku nnyanja. Tetumanyi gajja naki. Ebyennyanja byabula ku nnyanja. Abavubi bagenda ne bavuba ne bajja n'empuuta bbiri, abakalirizi kava twaziggala. Kati amagye tegana kye gatuyambye ku nnyanja, wabula okwongera okwonoona ennyanja. Lwaki? Magye ne basobola okukwata kamanyala kange, ate enkya ne bakaguza oli. Kati awo envuba embi eba esobola okuva ku nnyanja oba eba egenda mu maaso.
And she is not alone. Kasire Gerard says that certainty earnings from fishing not guaranteed.
Nyanja, beti, ebizibu byetusanga nga ffe abaanika, bagagga baffe, bataata baffe, tuteeka ssente mu kintu kye tutamanyi.
And just like that, fishing in Uganda has largely remained a preserve for large local and foreign farms.
Nojja weesanga ng'ennyanja gavumenti egitunuulidde, nze kwentunudde, ono kwatunudde, naye nga ffenna kye tutunuulidde ebyennyanja bye tunoonya bidduka. Tetubiraba. Teri agenda amanyi kyagenda funa.
Locals say that much as government came in tough with the creation of Fisheries Protection Unit to safeguard the lake from poor fishing methods that had previously threatened to drain the lake, it should not be a green card for government to push them out of business completely.
Capital. Kyokka ng'ate eryato kwe tutunuulirira amaka gaffe, fiizi, kulwala, ebigwa bitalaze, naye ng'ate twetaaga kusalibwa ku misolo.
Kasirivo, feeling could bear a striking resemblance with many other Ugandans on the shores of fresh and non-fresh water lakes in Uganda, where fishing that used to feed and clothe families is now an ordinary man's trade. Scholars call this a perfect case of kleptocracy, where government bigwigs base on the lucrative nature of the sector to deliberately push people out to operate it themselves, and this Serunkuma says is as a result of those close to power taking advantage of the gaps.
When a particular project becomes so lucrative, they jump onto it and vulgarize it because they have access to power and connections inside the system. So once it becomes so lucrative for the ordinary farmer, for the ordinary person, they will jump onto it and they'll mess it up. This is what happened to vanilla when the government of Uganda failed to get a legislation to organize Uganda Vanillas Association to prevent unknown exporters to come and mess up the market. So in the end, they were harvesting raw beans, and after a small period, the international market realized vanilla from Uganda is rubbish, so they stopped buying it.
Serunkuma is not the only scholar with the same mind. Dr. Fred Muhumuza is a senior economist at Makerere University.
It's a point for government to regulate, but not to do business, unless it must do business. And don't come in as government to do business because private sector has failed. Soroti fruit factory, there are many fruits here, nobody's processing. Me, I will come and process them. First ask, why have private people not come in? It may not be a viable business. It might not be that the fruits are the right ones, or the market for fruits are not there. Private sector understands, they flow. They bring their money, they bring their energy once they see an opportunity.
On the 10th of February 2022, the Ugandan Minister AIIJ signed an agreement with Enrica Pinetti allowing her to operate a coffee processing plant worth $80 million. By virtue of the same deal, the coffee plant would retain exclusive rights to buy all Uganda's coffee. To date, players in the coffee sector are still worried that they will be next in line on the impoverishing chopboard.
Bugisu cooperative is under fire to be collapsed because Museveni has his Indian capitals who wants to take over coffee from Bugisu.
When the government identifies an investor and supports that investor to add value, it is in good faith. It is intended to ensure that the coffee earns more money for the country, for Ugandans and the other areas.
Addressing this system that is deliberately designed to deprive citizens from lucrative sectors requires a multifaceted approach encompassing legal reforms, which all seems to be nowhere in sight. So you are on your own.
The beauty of government is if there is a hindrance to that initial entry of private sector, resolve that. But don't walk in to do the business perpetual. Because there you begin to divert public funds from core services that the population needed to do something which possibly not going to be a brainer.
Government, however, denies the idea that can impoverish its own people, saying it is far from reality.
At no point can the government be in a position to undermine its own mandate. Government would want to see that every Ugandan gets out of poverty. And that's why we try different approaches, different interventions, so that we reach out to all sections of Ugandans to make sure they are part of the money economy, they are part of production.
When the government's regulatory rule border on impoverishment of the ordinary Ugandan worries flare and economic justice becomes a mystery.
Tanzania, where when the people take the initiative, the government builds on the people's initiative. More ideas are brought on board. But in Uganda, you have your initiative, then the guys up there, they look at it, it is beneficial to them, then they push you out.
Adam Mayambala, Jamila Mlindwa Nwaha, NBS Live at 9.